to give you an update on what we've been doing down at the Standards Subcommittee. As Brian mentioned, we recently launched our hotline, and Josh Horn, who heads up our Standards Committee, is manning the phones there. And typically, you'll get we've only had one question. It was on an engagement letter, and that item gets sent in through the website. And what we do is provide guidance to answers by making specific references to the various standards. And if we start to see a pattern of questions in a certain area, that may elevate to a FAQ, then onto the board for approval. Secondly, we're still in the process of trying to develop one set of international standards comparison chart, making great headway there. Also included in that is coming up with one universal glossary of terms. So we're trying to merge US with international, coming up with modify or replace outdated standards. So it's more of replacing outdated terminology with more enhanced terminology that may be used overseas. So and at the end of this, what we'll do is we'll give it to the other boards and the other international boards, and they can either adopt it or, not adopt it. But that is moving along very well. And then what I wanted to do is just maybe cover a few Q&As that have come through. Our FAQs just recently issued and have been approved by the board. One of them deals with if you're, say, an ABV and you're requested to, you move employers and now you're issuing CVA reports, or you're a CVA member and you're requested to perform an opinion, which maybe you have issued in the past as an ABV, as a CVA. And the requirements are that if you follow the CVA standards, you must issue a CVA report. Because the comparison between other standards vary by different requirements that are needed in each of the reports. So if you're issuing an NACA report versus an ASA report, you'll notice there is a difference. So if you're signing as a CVA, you must adhere to those standards. The next question, which is also a very common question, is you get involved in a litigation matter and you are requested to look at the opposing party's valuation report. And by looking at the report, you identify, certain biases, such as maybe some normalization adjustments that are benefiting the other party. Maybe the weighting of the earnings were maybe very biased. Discount rates are maybe prepared improperly. And so you give back your report. And in that instance, you're not preparing a conclusion of value. You're just pointing out differences. So it's more of a consulting engagement. And you just have to issue an opinion and give your opinion as to why you feel those adjustments would be required. If, on the other hand, which typically happens, they say, hey, we like your report. Can you issue another valuation report? And at that instance, now you're engaged to do a formal engagement. So therefore, whether they're requesting a calculation or a conclusion of value, you'll need a separate engagement letter. And at that point in time, you will be needed to follow all the necessary NACFA standards that are applicable. So that's basically, we haven't had a lot of activity as far as new FAQs. We meet monthly, and progression is going very well on merging, really coming up with one universal standards, so that cuts down on confusion within reports. And when you look at reports from prepared under different standards and how those adjustments impact the valuation and the users of those reports. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, and that concludes my update from the Standards Committee.